Suecia en primera persona y en español, el podcast que te lleva al corazón de las historias de personas que han elegido Suecia como su nuevo hogar. Hola amigos de Suecia en primera persona, bienvenidos a un nuevo episodio de su podcast que esta vez no va a ser en español. Vamos a hacer una entrevista en inglés porque nuestra invitada viene de Hungría y el lenguaje que tenemos en común es el inglés y un poco de sueco, pero no vamos a entrar en esas dificultades de hablar en sueco porque hablamos muy poquito. Pero hoy estoy muy contenta de tenerla acá y les invito a tener paciencia con mi inglés porque no es el mejor, pero aquí no tenía que intentar porque quería mostrarles la historia de Kata acá en Suecia. Bienvenida Kata, gracias por estar acá. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I'm a bit nervous, but
yeah, me too, but it's okay. Humor du? No, that is Swedish. Sueco, ahí nos confundimos un poco. Ya, volvemos. We'll come back to the language. Kata, how's everything with you? Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm good. It's finally a sunny day here in Sweden, which changes everything.
Yes, it's incredible.
Yeah. So actually, I'm quite happy about that today. So yeah, I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Kata, tell us why you are here in Sweden.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I moved here in 2023, in the summer of 2023, so almost 2 years ago. And I moved here because of my boyfriend, my sambo, who got a job here at the University of Linköping. So he moved here in February of that year, and after 6 months I joined him. So that was the reason. I took a gap year, so to say, from my job in Hungary. So it's called unpaid leave. I still had my position in the secondary school where I was teaching, because I planned to come only for 1 year. That was the idea.
How long you been here?
Well, it's almost 2 years now.
No, yeah. Okay.
And then we thought, okay, we see how it goes here. I had the chance to prolong my stay, which actually happened. So this is how it all started. Yeah, because of my sambo.
Okay. And how was your life in Budapest? Because you're coming from Budapest, the main city of Hungary.
That's right. I was born and raised in Budapest.
Oh.
Actually, in the center.
Wow.
Of the capital. So yes, this was my upbringing there, and then I worked. For the previous 10 years, I worked at a secondary school as an English teacher, and occasionally Portuguese as well, because I speak that language.
Why do you speak Portuguese?
I decided to pick that language at university. I didn't really know much about it, but it was a language track which I could choose without speaking the language. So, for example, for Spanish, I would have had to be able to speak Spanish, which I didn't at the time. But for Portuguese, there was like a beginner's course and all that, so I signed up for that.
Okay.
And I also got to spend 1 year in Lisbon.
Wow.
With Erasmus, this student exchange program,
yes.
And that was amazing. I really enjoyed that 1 year, which I got to spend there. And now that I think about it, I always prolong my stays in foreign countries, because when I went to Lisbon, I was also supposed to stay just for 1 semester at university, but then I prolonged it and doubled it, so I stayed for 1 year in the end.
Wow.
And now in Sweden, there was this idea that I come for 1 year, but it seems that it's now the 2nd year, so maybe.
And the life is too different from Budapest compared here in Norrköping where you live?
Oh yes, very, very much so.
Well, it's a main city, you live in the centrum.
Yes, so first of all the size of the city, And it's interesting, I can say that I can really compare the two cities because I lived in the center of Budapest and now I live in the center of Norrköping.
Yeah.
And still, it's a completely different experience.
Wow.
That I have. I mean, it's much more quiet, and that's an interesting experience. I sort of needed that, I think, to have that experience of living a calmer life a bit at that period of my life when I moved here. I had pretty tough period before that. So actually, I was quite happy to have a more relaxed environment around me.
Okay.
So that was.
Well, the main cities, they can be a little hard. Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, I grew up there, so I enjoyed also the vibe and the hustle and the bustle, and that there is always something happening. You always bump into people that you can go to. I mean, any or some of the several movies that we have there, or theaters, or concerts, or
coffee places.
Oh yeah. So there are, so many things and so much life happening in Budapest, which is great, and sometimes I miss that.
And Kata, how was your first time here in Sweden compared with the big city? How you deal with the bureaucratic issues? A lot of persons tell me here in the program they had a lot of issues, problems for getting in the system, get the person number or the bank account. How was the experience for you in that case?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I also had to deal with those issues, but I think my case was a bit different since I'm coming from an EU country and my boyfriend had already had a job here. So I think because of that it was quite easy for me to get the personnummer. So that went quite fast, I would say, because so my sambo was in the system, and I just joined him. And honestly, I also heard stories about how difficult it is to get the bank account and all that. So I tried to postpone that for as long as I could. So I only got into the struggle with the bank ID and all these things when it was really necessary for me to get a Swedish bank account. Because at the beginning, I didn't really need that. So with the personnummer, I could manage most of the things. So I was quite grateful for that. It was.
How long you had to wait for the personnummer?
Okay, I'm not sure I should say it because I know it's ridiculously short, but I was also surprised actually, but it took me 2 weeks. Yeah, I know, and I'm
laughing because it's
aware.
Yeah, no, there are people. For me, it was normal. It was like lucky 3 months. But there are people 1 year waiting.
I know, and terrible. I think it's crazy. Yeah, I've also heard stories, and I know. So I usually don't advertise this because, I know. I was very lucky and very privileged with that, and I think it's because of these factors, like coming from an EU country, and actually that I had. So I had my sambo, I had my boyfriend, who had a steady income, was employed by Swedish university, so it was like a more stable thing, and I guess it's because of that. But honestly, I have no idea, because at SFE, at Swedish course, I also met a girl from another EU country with a Swedish husband even, I guess, or boyfriend at the time, and she was rejected 3 times.
Yeah.
For who knows what reason.
Exactly, yeah. But finally, it's like, why a person have to wait 2 weeks, another person had to wait 6 months, or sometimes 2 years, and they had a provisional number, and it's like, you can't do your life here.
Exactly, that's the thing, that without a personnummer you basically cannot do anything, like not even sign up for the Swedish course.
Exactly.
Not even eligible for healthcare, I
Exactly.
guess. So there is no insurance for you. You cannot really go to the hospital without that. You can't even become like a medlem in the ICA supermarket or something. So you really need this personnummer for your everyday life. And I think it's really crazy that a lot of people have to wait for so long.
Yeah. But after deal with all the stuff and get a bank, you start SFI course. How was that? Because you are English teacher. How was that? How was learn Swedish?
Oh yeah, that was that was an interesting experience. I have to say.
Why? Tell me.
Yeah. So when I signed up for SFI, honestly, I didn't really know what it was. So I only knew that it's like a Swedish course for immigrants and it's for free. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Why not? It started to be suspicious when I realized that you have to sign up for this at the kommun, so at the municipality. Then you have to wait like a month or more so that they decide when you can start. So I understood, okay, probably it's a huge system that I'm going to enter. And I remember the first day when I went to the SFI course, this big school, red brick building, which was built to be a school, and it really looks like a school. So it had some homey feeling, a very familiar feeling for that. So it was a very familiar feeling to go into a school which actually was similar to the school where I used to work. But then when I entered the classroom and then they told us that we have to be there every day for 4 hours from 8 to 12 and then spend 4 more hours studying at home, I was like, wait, what is this? I thought, okay, twice a week, an hour and a half or something. But then I realized, okay, this is serious. They take it very seriously. Oh my God, what did I put myself to? This was my first idea. But then the lesson started and I realized that most probably I won't need to study 4 hours at home extra, because the group was quite mixed. We were, so it was an intro course for intro B and intro C, as they call it. So we were all students from all around the world who had some sort of education earlier.
Yes.
Which I think is very important, so that the people who didn't get any type of education in their home countries, who were not able to read or write even in their own language, they start at a different level, which makes perfect sense, and I think it's great that they think about that too. But still, I had to realize that the course is not for language teachers, which is quite obvious, and that I understood that I have this privilege of coming from a background where, you know, I studied languages, I learned languages, I was teaching languages, so I had a very different understanding of how a language works and how a language can be taught, which sometimes made me a bit angry. Because my teacher self was not very satisfied with what was going on, because I think I sort of knew that it could be done in a bit more efficient way, that this could be also a bit more fun, maybe. So at the beginning I really had to restrain myself not to give better ideas to the teachers. But then
you realize you are a student now,
yes,
and not a teacher.
Exactly. That was a hard
it's
transition.
A hard process. It is. It was the same for me. It was like it was like, why they do this kind of stuff. But how long you been there? You stay 1 year, 6 months? How was the process?
Yeah, so I I could proceed quite fast, which means that I started this intro course in October. Then I went to the normal C in January, then to D, which is the next level, in March. So basically I could finish SFE by May. So that was 5 + 3, so 8 months.
Okay, and after that you speak good Swedish, or you had a good level, or you jump to the Komvux, because it's the natural way to go on with study Swedish.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. So this is what I did. I went in to study at Komvux. I was not very happy with my Swedish, so I felt that I could do the tests and I could succeed, but I wasn't confident at all in speaking. So whenever I could, I would switch to English, which I knew as a teacher that it was not the right thing to do, but very often I just felt, tired. Yeah, so I wasn't very confident. And then I went to Komvux, to Grundskolan, which is the elementary level Swedish course. And then they made us write a placement test, so they see which level I could go to. And quite surprisingly, they put me to the highest level. I didn't expect that at all. And that was a very interesting experience, because I think I learned most there in the kurs 4, which I started with. Because it was
there are 4
hard.
levels in Grundskolan.
That's right.
And you start in 4, in level 4.
Yeah.
The last level.
Yeah. But I think I learned quite a lot there, and I really had to speak, which was my weakest point. And that actually gave me a lot of confidence.
Wow.
And also there were friends, I can say, with whom Swedish was our common language. Which was also hard, but also helpful at the same time, because we really wanted to engage in conversations, and I really had to make that effort to speak.
Good, exactly. But now you are done with that. You finished with all the course.
Yeah.
You had all the levels of Swedish, the minimum, the school levels. Yeah.
Yes, because after this Grundskolan, I decided to do the gymnasiet level, so the high school studies as well, because I was also told that in order to be able to work as an English teacher here in Sweden...
Yeah, they need so many teachers.
Yeah, that was so interesting and funny and weird and incomprehensible at the same time, that I heard that they are really looking for teachers. But at the same time, in order to be able to work legally as a teacher, you need to have a legitimation, as they call it, which is basically like an accredited version of your degree. So although I have my teacher's degree from Hungary, although I have 10 years of experience teaching in a public secondary school, I still need to prove that I'm eligible to do that, and for that,
even if you are living here in European Union.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the process goes the following way. First, prerequisite, you need to have Svenska som andraspråk 3, which is the highest level possible in this school system. So it's the last high school level that you need to complete. Without that, they don't even look at your degree. And even if you have that, you send in your degree to Stockholm, they look at it and compare the classes that you have taken with the requirement of teacher training here in Sweden. And they still might say that, there are a few classes missing, you need to spend 1 year at university again before you can start teaching.
Oh my God. It's so difficult, the system, finally.
Yeah.
But finally you speak Swedish?
Well, I passed the test, I would put it that way.
Men kan du prata?
Jag kan.
Lite mer.
Om jag måste prata, jag kan.
Men jag förstår alla människor säger till dig.
Ja, vi kan säga.
Nästa.
Ja, nästan.
Nästa.
Ja, nästan
detsamma
allt.
här.
Men det beror på människorna också. Hur de
Okay, you live in
pratar.
English only. English and Hungarian language.
No, I mean I really try to read
Okay.
in Swedish. I also joined like I don't even know what to call that. It's like a creative club, so to say, that meets every Monday. I mean, not every Monday, because there was like a series of 7 Mondays, so 7 weeks in autumn, and now in spring another one, and mostly Swedish people go there, so it's held in Swedish.
Okay, perfect. They force you to speak.
That's right. And the leader of this is actually a Danish person. And I think she really understands what it's like, you know, to be a foreigner, an outsider here in Sweden. I mean, she's been living here for 30 years.
Wow.
So she speaks good Swedish, but it was very funny because actually it was a bit weird that I understood everything that she was saying, which doesn't always happen actually with Swedish people when they speak normally and they expect you to understand everything. But I was actually quite happy that I finally made a Swedish friend, because before that I've never really had any. And then it turned out that she's actually Danish, and then I was laughing that, okay,
Yeah, exactly.
my first Swedish friend is actually not from Sweden.
Estás escuchando Suecia en primera persona. Recuerda que te puedes suscribir a nuestro canal de YouTube y también seguirnos en nuestras redes sociales. What was the hardest thing about adapting to life in Sweden?
Okay, I would say the weather and the darkness, which is probably quite common.
Yeah.
That was a shock. So I arrived in July, and it was great. I mean, the sunset at 10. I would go out for a walk with our dog at 10, and it was, you know, the sunset time. It was like, wow. But I also knew that it comes at a price. And also I have to say that summer was not really like summer. So the sun was shining, and that was great. But it was like 16 degrees, a lot of rain. So I remember I went home for Christmas, and I literally took my shorts, my skirts, my sandals back to Budapest, because I was like, okay, I'm not going to use these here. There is no summer in Sweden, or the summer that they have is not the kind of summer that I'm used to. So there is no need for sandals, no need for shorts. It's fine that you can go out in a pullover, and you should be happy about it, that you don't need to put on a jacket. So that was my first summer here in Sweden. Luckily the second one was much better, and I could see that summer can be beautiful if the sun is shining, and you can even get like 20 degrees. So that was about the summers, and then so I started school in October, and then I had this school rhythm. I had to be there at 8 every day, and it was quite visible how it was getting darker and darker.
Yeah.
Every day, also in the morning, that sometimes the sun would not be up at that time at all, and I would still have to go, and a lot of times I just questioned myself, like, what am I doing to myself?
Exactly. I understand you so badly.
Why am I doing this? What's going on? And I remember the worst moment of this darkness issue was when the clock was reset. So it's the end of October, when we changed to from the daylight saving, and then it was not gradual. as it was before. But from one day to the next, the sun would set at 4. And when I realized, oh my God, this is going to be like this for the rest of the time. Yeah, for eternity, it felt like that. And I remember that I went for a walk at 4, and I almost started to cry the first day after that, because it was like, wow, what am I going to do here? So as I got more and more involved in learning Swedish, I was surrounded by great people who moved here for different reasons, but they really intended to stay. And I felt a bit weird at the beginning, because I knew that maybe I will not stay here for the rest of my life. But I felt that makes me somewhat different from my peers, from my friends, whom I was very grateful for. And I think the best thing about SFE and all these Swedish classes was meeting all the people that I met. Really, I'm very, very grateful for them. I met you there as well.
Yeah.
The first time I went to a språkcafé.
Yeah.
Which is this very nice initiative, actually, in local library. Twice a week for 90 minutes, people can get together to practice their Swedish. So it's run by volunteers, and it's for immigrants to practice their Swedish and also to have some sort of a social life.
Yeah, I think we met in Språkcafé.
Yes, actually, that was the first time.
Yeah, you're coming with Rita from Germany, I remember.
That's right.
Yeah, I was with Pilar, yes. But yeah, Språkcafé is an incredible initiative. Sometimes the people say it's difficult to make friends or meet new people here in Sweden. But for me it was so opposite, because I went to everything, for just try to learn the language. And it was incredible, this group. It was retirement old ladies, teachers, super kind, Swedish. They speak so slow, so kind. They treat you with so much respect. They have coffee. And it was, for me at least, here in Norrköping works very good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. This was great. And I also remember these very emotional moments where I couldn't really speak Swedish, like really, it was at the beginning. And I went to this språkcafé. I went alone, so I didn't know anyone. I didn't know how it actually worked, so I just showed up, probably a little late, so it was a bit awkward. And then I remember sitting down at a table where some ladies from Afghanistan were sitting. Different generations, so actually I think they were like from a family, even like the grandmother, the daughter, and her daughter. I remember the feeling that they were so kind and open and helpful, and I felt I should be the one helping them, and still they are helping me because they have the experience. They know a bit more Swedish than I do. They know the structure. And they are willing to help me and guide me, and it was so touching, because I used to be the I don't know how to put it, like the giver. So I was a teacher.
Yeah.
I was often the person who would provide some sort of help, and here I had to learn to be on the other side, just like we mentioned, to be a student, to be a person that is helped, and not the person who helps others. And that was quite hard, actually, to accept that.
A good lesson.
Yeah, it was beautiful, actually, to experience this and to receive help from these people with incredible and incredibly hard life stories.
Yeah.
And still, they were the ones helping me. That was really...
Yeah, I was so lucky. I met so many realities, so different. vision of the world, and everybody come here and finally start feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
Despite all the problems that can be in Sweden against the immigrants or the refugees.
Yeah.
Because we know it's a reality, but it's there, you know. But despite that, Sweden gives us this opportunity to see so many realities. I think we are very lucky in that way.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. I totally understand you, and yeah, it's been the same for me. So if someone asked me what has Sweden given you, I would say this, that the people and all the immigrants that I met, and their stories and their openness and their it's I think this is the biggest gift.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes it's like I think in that a lot, because if you focus only in the news, the bad news against Sweden or about Sweden is, we had a problem with the guns, and it's true. Norrköping suffer a lot that. We had a problem with the coming refugee coming, and the system collapsing. Yeah, it's true. But finally, in each day, in the normal life, every day, you have a normal person in front of you, you know, it's not different, it's no other category, despite the people or the political measures they want to believe you that. Despite everything, I really, maybe I'm naive, but I don't care really. It's like sometimes I was in the classroom and I had all the continents in the classroom, and that was beautiful, you know, and that is something Sweden given to the world, you know.
Estás escuchando Suecia en primera persona. Recuerda que te puedes suscribir a nuestro canal de YouTube y también seguirnos en nuestras redes sociales.
How was it being socially integrated in Sweden? You finally get it? You get a Swedish friend?
Not easy questions you have for me. I wouldn't say that I feel integrated. It was a huge step when I felt confident to speak in Swedish. But it was about a year after I arrived with all these crash courses. So I was really advancing fast with the Swedish, and by the time I felt that I can speak the language, that was a huge step for me. But still, I honestly didn't really know Swedish people, so I didn't have contact with Swedish people, because most of my friends, all of my friends, were from SFE, from school, which is meant to be for non-Swedish people. And I loved it a lot, really. I also didn't have any other means to socialize with Swedish people, because my boyfriend is not from here. He was working in English, actually, all the time. He had international colleagues, so colleagues from all over the world. Some Swedish, yes, but not all of them. So there was not, this circle of Swedish people that I could get to. And therefore, I would say that my contact with Sweden and contact with Swedish people was very limited. You know, public services and, in the shop and, these kind of things, my teachers at school. So it was an interesting feeling in a way. So actually that's why I signed up for that course that I mentioned with the Danish person, these Creative Mondays, Kreativa Måndagar is the name for that. It's run by the local Waldorf school, which is an alternative school, and they have this course for adults, actually, once a week. So that was one important step when I felt confident in my Swedish. And then another thing came after I passed all my exams, which I did on a faster track, which is another story, because that's a long story. How is it possible to do things on a faster track here in Sweden? Because it's not as easy as you would think. But anyway, when I finished that, I felt maybe now that I passed all the tests, maybe now new opportunities will open up, that I can finally, find a job or something. But it didn't happen because So I still didn't get my legitimation, this official paper, because it takes a long time. It also takes a long time to actually get the certificate for passing the exam. It's a bit ridiculous, but I would like to tell you because maybe just to balance out the 2 weeks of waiting time that I had for my personnummer. So now I passed my SWA 3, 31st of January. And I still haven't received my betyg, my certificate for that, which would be necessary for me to apply for this legitimation so that my degree is accredited. And I didn't even get the chance to send it because I never received it. And it's just a paper, you need to print it out, in my view, from the system where my grades are, put a stamp on it, sign it, and just give it to me. And it hasn't happened in the last almost two months now.
Oh my God. And in that way, Budapest, your country is different and resolve the bureaucratic papers, or it's the same?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wouldn't praise too much the Hungarian bureaucracy. We also have a lot of issues, but for some reason, I understand that. I grew up with that, so I'm more understanding with that.
Exactly. We grew up with that. We know how to manage. That is the thing.
Yeah.
And here you have to learn that. But I think too, Sweden is everything with time. You don't have to know absolutely nothing with when you are hurry. No, you have to planning 1 year papers. I learned that, and just accept it because we don't want to change the system. It's this way.
Yeah, probably. But that's something that sometimes makes me a bit angry. Maybe that's not the right reaction. That I often feel that people here are really relaxed with time. And they really think that immigrants, have a lot of time to wait for the papers, to do a 20-week course, to start a completely new utbildning, a new training, a new education track for 3 years or more. When we are talking about, people in their 40s, often with families.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they would need like faster solutions, which again I understand is not always the best solution. So I understand it's difficult, but sometimes I do get a bit frustrated with these answers at different places when they say, yeah, you can wait for your course 6 more months.
And what you do in that time?
And okay, of course, one can wait, but why do I have to wait? And it's really not necessarily my case, because as I said, I had the privilege really of not having to work, for example. So I was not forced to work, like financially, because my sambo had a job.
Here. Exactly.
But I imagine that for some people that would be really important that they get a job or a new training. And we are talking about qualified people with degrees in many cases from their own country, which they need to completely forget about and start something completely new, which I understand takes time. Yeah, so I have mixed feelings about that, because on the one hand I understand, but at the same time I also feel it's a bit unfair sometimes. So.
Kata and Kata, Have you had any funny or awkward situations because of the language?
Oh God, yes. Yeah, but maybe I would tell you a story which happened long time ago, in 2012, when I came to Sweden as a visitor, as a tourist with a friend of mine. And it was a very interesting experience. We spent a few days in Göteborg, in Gothenburg. And it was the beginning of June, so we expected some nice weather, which we did not really get. It was raining, it was windy, it was cold. But what we were most surprised about was the absence of people and how quiet everything was. We didn't realize that also one of the days that we got to spend in the city was the 6th of June, which is a national holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, when everyone left to go to their cottages or cabins or to the seaside, so the city itself was pretty empty, and we didn't understand where the people were. And this is where language comes in, because we saw signs everywhere which said halkrisk, which we didn't understand at the time, but we were laughing about it a lot, because halk in Hungarian, in my mother tongue, is holk, and it means quiet. And we were laughing about it because these signs, if you translate them literally, they would mean, I mean, not translate, sorry, no, but if you just look at them to a Hungarian mind, they mean the danger of quietness. So there is a risk for, silence, which was very appropriate. And we were laughing about it a lot. So when we talk about Sweden with this friend of mine, we most often mention this. And the funny thing is that when I moved here and started to learn Swedish, and I actually understood what it meant, halkrisk, which is like be careful, slippery road or slippery surface, it again made perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Another difficult time that I had, or another reason why I had a difficult time in winter, were the slippery roads. Oh, the icy roads everywhere, roads and pavements and stairs.
And quiet.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it's a difficult walk here.
Yes.
It's impossible. You walk like a old person.
Or like a penguin. And walking usually helps me when I'm feeling down, then I just go for a walk. We also have a dog, so we also need to go on a walk. So walking is really an important part of my day. And in wintertime, I just can't do that, or not the way I would want to do it. And that drove me crazy, and that made winter even more difficult with the slipperiness. So halkrisk, in every sense, was a very symbolic
word for you.
Yeah.
Incredible. Kata, you had some special word you love in Swedish besides this word you say?
Well, there was one word, or actually an expression, which I learned this year, and I realized I quite like the idea behind it. And it was after New Year, a lot of people, even official emails with teachers or with the school, ended with the saying "god fortsättning," which means good continuation, which was an idea that I quite liked, that it's not like Happy New Year or something, but it's like, I understood it as like keep going, or, keep continuing what you were doing. And I sort of like that idea, that, it's a new year, yes, but it doesn't have to be something completely new. It's just
and all the promise we do when the year starts and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, this like go on with your life. Yeah. Normal.
Yeah. Good fortsättning. I sort of liked that idea. Yeah. So maybe this is what I would.
Wow. Nice.
Say.
If you had the option to choose the 3 most significant moments in your life here in Sweden.
The first one would probably be right after I arrived in Sweden, and I think it was like the second day or the third day, and we went for a walk with my boyfriend. He showed around some of his favorite spots, and that meant also entering a forest. And from all the rush that I had before moving, and the packing and the stress and the travel and all that, entering the forest in its quietness, it was like really magical. It felt like a huge hug, if I can say it like that. It was just so peaceful.
Yeah, I can understand.
And so quiet, and I could just literally feel my mood, my brain just coming at ease. It was really magical. I don't remember ever feeling.
That was the first moment, beautiful moment, the forest. Yeah, the nature here is really special. Yeah, I know the feeling. And the second?
The second probably would be a moment in school, in SFE. It was early November, so we were like 3 weeks in to the course, so you can imagine the level of my Swedish. But still, I had the idea that it would be so nice to bring these people that we spend every day together with, so to bring them together outside of the school. So I had the idea to organize a walk in a forest in Vrinneviskogen, which I have discovered earlier because of my dog. And I thought it would be a good team building moment to have the opportunity for those who can to meet and talk in a more informal setting. So I had this idea, but I wasn't sure if that would work out. How should I present it? Because my Swedish was not so good. And then I was like, okay, whatever, I'm going to say it at the beginning of a lesson. So I told this idea to the teacher, that I would like to talk to the whole class about this idea. And so this is what happened. And I stood in front of a class again, just like I used to do as a teacher, but being aware that I'm not sure if I'm able to say what I want to say, if I'm able to express myself. But I felt that it was an important message and an important, idea to bring people together, because I had the feeling that a lot of people are quite lonely.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I thought, okay, we come to school, we chat a bit before and after the lessons, but still to have, something different than just school. And I still, to this day, I remember standing there looking at my colleagues, the others, and with very basic Swedish saying, Saturday, forest, walk, we, go, come. These very, very basic things. And luckily the teacher who was there that day helped me, so she put things on the board even to clarify things. And it was a great moment, because I was not very confident in myself in terms of language, but I knew it's a message that I really want to say. And so I remember that. And so we did go. It was not a huge success, because I was postponing standing out in front of the class for too long.
Yeah.
So it was on a Friday, and I planned the trip for Saturday, which was very short notice, and not too many people could make it. But still, some people came. We walked a bit in the forest, had a picnic. Some people showed up late. It was still quite.
It was a beautiful moment here. Yeah. And the third, the last.
The third, wow! I don't even know. It probably would be either something connected to friends that I have met, or just one of the many magical moments of this second summer of mine here in Sweden with sun, going camping.
Oh, yeah.
Even just for one night, we would go out somewhere in the forest here close by, grill something, and then spend the night under the starry sky.
Yeah, it's beautiful the summer here.
Wow.
So different, from the winter, but yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it would be something, one of those camping events which we had the chance to do. We used to do that in Central Europe, where we are from, to go on camping holidays. And then the first summer made me realize that maybe Sweden is not the best place for that. But then luckily this second summer was sunnier and warmer, and yeah, it was amazing. Sometimes we Airbnb'd, I have to admit, so it's not like we spent 2 weeks camping only, because we are getting old and too comfortable.
Estás escuchando Suecia en primera persona. Recuerda que te puedes suscribir a nuestro canal de YouTube y también seguirnos en nuestras redes sociales.
Kata, tell me something. During the time you were here, you study a lot and everything, but you focus a lot in your art, because I was working the other day for the city, the Centrum, and I find your pictures and exhibition and a beautiful window and everything. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's an interesting period that my pictures, my photos are out in a public space, and I'm also talking to you, and it's recorded, so it's a lot of exposure and it feels a bit weird to expose myself to the public, but it's also nice, and it's maybe also something that I wouldn't have done back home in Hungary. Yeah, so photos. I love taking photos. I have been doing that for a pretty long time. Basically about everyday things, everyday beauties, if you want to put it this way. But it's small things, shadows, lights, forms, rhythms that you can notice.
Textures.
Like
yes, you showed me the other day.
Exactly. Yeah, and so these are things that I love. I used to share quite a lot of this with my friends on Facebook earlier, but I sort of stopped with that. But now I started again with an analog camera.
Oh wow! Come back to the old times.
Yes, exactly. I always loved experimenting.
Yeah.
With these things. I wouldn't call myself a professional photographer, but I love experiments, and my pictures are not perfect. They are not professional, but I think this element of experiment is there to see something maybe new, or to see things from a new perspective. And so these pictures are double exposures. So these are basically 2 pictures taken onto one frame, which again brings 2 separate things together. And I think in a lot of cases, maybe this combination of the 2 pictures is actually more than what the individual pictures would mean. Photography has always been some kind of a therapy for me. It's just like, if I'm very lost, I just go out, walk, which is one thing that helps me a lot, and just take photos, to use my eye differently, to have the focus somewhere else, in a way outside of me, but at the same time I need to find the frame that works, so it's still inside me. It's just my mind doesn't get too much focused on these sometimes negative loops. So this is why winter in Sweden was also very difficult for me, because there was no light, and without light you cannot really photograph.
Exactly.
In autumn there is the Kulturnatten, usually in September here in Norrköping, with a lot of cultural events. And I noticed that in the shop window of this record shop, Vaxkupan, that you mentioned, there was like an exhibition of some sort. And this is when I came up with the idea that, wow, okay, I mean, if someone else can have their artwork there, then maybe I could try and ask them if they would be happy to have my pictures there as well. But of course I was postponing that, not having the courage. And then
Why you don't have the courage? Why is so difficult expose yourself? If you had something to show, something that can heal the people, something that can give a moment of happiness through the art? Why it's so difficult to expose?
Yeah, exactly, because I'm not sure about that. I know that they give me this moment of peace and harmony, and I like the pictures that I've taken, but I was not sure if they are, interesting for other people as well. I shared it on Facebook with my friends, and I got a lot of likes, so I thought, okay, people probably won't hate it, but I wasn't sure if they are going to work. But this is something that,
You think Sweden live here? I don't know if Sweden or had this moment in your life here that help you to find this courage?
In a way, yes, I would say. Also the fact that, people don't know me.
Yeah.
And this weird feeling of anonymity is actually very helpful, that I don't feel the sort of expectation that I usually feel. What will people say? What will people think?
Yeah.
What if someone that knows me sees the picture? Because I don't know too many people here, so...
When you finally decide to expose yourself, you realize that people don't think so much on you. And I'm not telling you because I tell you because me too. It's like, it's a moment, you give just a moment.
That's true. Yes, that's true. And maybe being here also helped me with that. Because basically what I was doing, as you said, I was studying, and so languages, that's my thing. I mean, I have loved languages, I've been a language teacher, so it was something that I have always loved and I was good at, although I never publicly said that. But there are many other things that I'm not good at at the same time. So
like everybody.
It's.
You think being in Sweden help you to embrace these new roles on you? They're waiting for you, the artist, the photographer, the documentary too.
Yeah, I also started a course in documentary filmmaking, which has been on my mind for a really long time. I also studied sociology a long time ago, and connected to that we had classes and a short course on documentary filmmaking, and I participated in a few, like I was helping with the interviews in Hungary for foreign students who didn't speak Hungarian, and I was helping with the interviews, and I really liked that part. And now, as I said, I had the privilege that I had the time to study, and not just Swedish, but also this online course which I took, and which was great. And also to try to make a movie myself was also a good way for me, in a way, to do something with all these amazing stories that I have come across here through the people that I met, and I really felt that it's so important, and the message is so important that I should really, not be satisfied by hearing it myself, but somehow, show it to more people.
I know the feeling. That's the reason we are doing this.
So it's a very interesting experience, and I think partly this thing that I mentioned, that people don't know me here, that gave me this freedom, but also the fact that I was, I felt that, okay, now I have really nothing to lose, in a way, that it's not my job, it's something that I can experiment with. And I'm a perfectionist in many cases, or in many senses, and somehow I could embrace this. Okay, it might not work out, and then what? And usually this question of "and then what" was not my thing. It was like, okay, and then the world would collapse, and then people would judge me, they would be disappointed in me, even worse. But here I thought, okay, these are smaller things, and maybe people won't judge me so harshly after all. So it was this freedom of experimenting.
Just remember us. Remember my podcast when you are going to be famous documentary. Please. I was the first interview.
That's very true. Yeah.
It's very true.
Yeah, so thank you.
If somebody wants to see your pictures or something, there's on social media we can check.
Yes.
Yes, let's go to expose.
So I have this personal Instagram profile, and then now I created another one, again trying to hide a little bit. That is a profile that has these double exposure analog photos, which are in the shop window right now, and some other creative projects which I started. So with this pack of things and my analog photos, there is an Instagram profile which is called Vatutu Visuals.
Vatutu Visuals. Okay, we're going to write in the description, don't worry. Okay, Kata, and what is the plan now in Sweden? You going? You stay?
Yeah, that's an interesting an important question and very relevant. My boyfriend's contract actually ended in February. And although we thought it might be prolonged or renewed or he would get another position here, it did not happen. So as a researcher, so he's a researcher, and we knew that this is an option. And as a researcher, he might need to relocate because these are postdoc positions, which are usually 1, 2, 3, or maximum 5 year long. So this was one of the possibilities, that he would have to relocate somewhere else in Sweden, in Scandinavia, or anywhere else in the world. So this is why my integration to Swedish society was always a bit of a question, because I never knew how long we would actually stay.
Exactly. Mm.
Because we are here because of him. And that now it seems, as of now, that we would leave Sweden.
How are you going to close a moment of your life, a little era here? What advice you can give to somebody who comes to live here?
Ooh. Yeah, be patient.
Yeah, see.
Be patient with yourself and the other people as well. And as you talked about the Swedish pace of life, which is very different from probably what we are used to, coming from other parts of the world, that everything has its time. And I think it's better if you don't get angry all the time. But yeah, I think people come here for many different reasons, because they don't have any other chance, or it's because of their partner, or because of work opportunities. So I think we really have very different stories and expectations about Sweden, and I think it's just important to somehow find the opportunities, because I think they are there. You just sometimes have to be more, courageous to find them. So be patient and be curious about these possibilities.
Yeah.
And get some sun.
Yeah, exactly. We had to get some sun. And you feel you learned something about yourself here, or something changed on you being here?
Oh yes, many things. I also had a pretty tough period here, like a very dark period after the first winter here, but also on a personal level. But it also helped me to understand a few things about myself. Sometimes you have to go really deep so that you can figure things out. And I think now that I had the privilege that I had time, I think it helped me. And nature. I know it sounds like a cliche, but nature is amazing here. And really, basically, in any direction you leave the city of Norrköping, you just find forests and lakes, and they are somewhat similar to each other, but at the same time they are all different, and very calm and relaxing. And that also helped me a lot to connect with nature, and also a bit with myself there in the quietness. Their quietness doesn't disturb me. Sometimes in the cities I would prefer a bit more liveliness.
Yes, exactly.
But the forests are just great the way they are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Kata, thank you so much for share all your experience here, and Remember when you're going to be famous? You had to remember us.
Oh well, the other way around.
Yeah.
This podcast will be on everyone's playlist.
I hope so. I really want to just help to the people and give a moment to listen the other persons, the stories of the persons, and help it with this information.
Yeah, I think it's very useful what you're doing, so that people can hear other stories and maybe see some similarities, and they don't feel so alone.
Exactly.
In their difficulties, and also maybe see how different experiences we can have in the same country or even in the same city.
Well, friends, in this way we finish our program in English, the first, and I want to be thankful. I want to say thank you for your patience for listening everything here, and will be until the next time. Remember, add us to our social media. We have a YouTube channel, Suecia en primera persona, Instagram. You can listen to us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube channel too. Thank you. Bye.
Suecia en primera persona y en español, el podcast que te lleva al corazón de las historias de personas que han elegido Suecia como su nuevo hogar.